All right, guys. I hope you all can see my. Good evening, everybody, once again, and thanks for joining right on time. My name is Prateek Agrawal. I'm going to be your lead instructor for this workshop today, this bootcamp today. Today is the second session of the bootcamp series that we are doing this week at Ivy Pro School to help you build great Gen AI apps as well as become great in data and AI. Now, today, the focus is to help you understand how to build a financial planner using Gen AI in Google Sheet. That is the goal for today's workshop. And let me show you what this financial planner is supposed to do. So let me share. I hope you all can see my screen. Let me delete this part and let me show you what we are going to do. Now, in this Google Sheet, under the salary column, I have uploaded my salaries. I have uploaded one salary slip of a random person. In the B column, I have uploaded all the expenses from the credit card statement. Okay, so basically this contains the credit card statement of an individual, which kind of gives an understanding to what kind of expenses the individual has. And in this column, in the goal column, I have written a goal. The goal is I want to buy a car worth 945,000 Indian rupees in 2 years from today. That is my goal. So if you notice, this is my income. The salary column contains the income information. The expense column contains the expense information, and the goal column contains my financial goal. Now what I want is I want Gen AI to analyze my income analysis. I want Gen AI to do my income analysis. I want Gen AI to do my expense analysis. I want Gen AI to give me a financial plan that I can adopt to in order to achieve my financial goal, which is to buy a car in 2 years, which is going to be worth approximately 9,45,000. And I want that response to come from Gen AI in this particular sheet, right? In this particular cell. So how do we do that? Now, look at how this is going to work. The moment I click on Analyze Goal, it takes a few moments to understand. See, remember, this salary column contains a link, a Google Sheet link to a PDF document which contains my salary slip. The B column contains the expense sheet in terms of my credit card expenses statement for maybe a particular month. And C column contains my goal, my financial goal. So it is taking this particular sheet, took all that information and sent it to a large language model by OpenAI. And then it sent us a response like a great financial planner. It says to achieve your goal of purchasing a car worth this in 2 years, let's analyze your current financial situation and propose a strategy to reach your target. So the current financial statement, the financial analysis says by this person's net monthly income is 60,000 per month. Current monthly expenses based on credit card statement is this much. The remaining income is this much. The expense reduction. So it is now saying that what are the steps that you want to take. The first step is to increase your saving. We need to identify the areas where you cut back on your expense. Dining out, reduce expenses by 50%. Online purchases, limit discretionary online purchases, aim to reduce by 2,000 monthly. Fuel, consider carpooling or using public transport occasionally to save 1,000 monthly. Grocery, and so on and so forth. So then it says total potential saving is 4,100. Saving strategy, with the above adjustments, your monthly saving increases to 47,900, and target saving is this much. Required monthly saving is this much divided by 24. With this, you can comfortably save this much per month. And investment strategy also, it is going to give to you like a great financial planner. It says recurring deposit or fixed deposit, and debt mutual fund, balanced mutual fund, the 3 investment strategy, and then maybe some lifestyle and financial habit changes as well, right? It has actually done a much better job than many financial planner that I know of, and with very, and that too very quickly. So that is the power of using LLM from within Google Sheet, that you can actually create a complete tool to replicate a seasoned expert, right? How do we do that is what we will learn in today's boot camp. And I will also give you the all the steps. I will give you the notes. I will give you the description, and I'll also be happy to answer all your questions that you would have. And we will upload the recording of today's session on Ivy Pro School's YouTube channel. So do not forget to subscribe to YouTube channel and hit on that bell symbol to to see such more Gen AI and data related tutorials for free. So that is the goal, guys. So how do we do that? Let me first remove this response, okay? And we will now go through the steps to do this. But before we go through the steps, my obligation towards the sponsor of today's workshop, which is Ivy Pro School. Just a few lines about Ivy Pro School and what we do at Ivy Pro School, and how we bring such workshops to you all. So Ivy Pro School is one of the oldest data and AI edtech firm in India, and with around 16 to 17 years of experience. We work quite a bit with Fortune 500 firms. So we've got like 50 plus Fortune 500 firms as our official learning partners. We are also accredited by IIT Guwahati, NASSCOM, Government of India, as well as IBM, and we've been, we have launched several high-skill data and AI courses in collaboration with IIT Guwahati and NASSCOM and IBM. So feel free to explore some of the data and AI courses by Ivy Pro School. We provide offline classes as well as online live classes in different cities in India. We've got presence in these different cities, and yeah. So this is about Ivy, and we have trained more than some 32,500 people is what the last count tells me. We've got alumni working in 500 plus companies. Alrighty. So that's about Ivy Pro School. Now, before we go into the how of creating a financial planner using Gen AI and Google Sheet, I want to just burst some common myths about Gen AI. A lot of people feel that Gen AI is Chat GPT, but let me tell you, Chat GPT is a product which uses Gen AI, just like how we are going to build a product today which will use Gen AI, but Chat GPT is not. Gen AI is not only Chat GPT. Gen AI is much more than Chat GPT. A lot of people have this myth as well that I know Chat GPT and hence I know Gen AI. No, you got to go deeper. Chat GPT is a great tool which helps as an assistant to anybody. However, if you want to become a Gen AI professional and want to monetize this hype and this craze, then you must also understand the back end of how we can utilize LLM services as API and build tools and build platforms and apps on top of it. So we have to go beyond ChatGPT. Making a career, a lot of people ask me this question, that making a career in Gen AI is extremely difficult if you're not a coder. Well, if you're a coder, yes, there is an advantage so that you can build a complete platform. I've started a couple of startups in Gen AI world. I'll show you one of the startups you all can actually try right away. Time2justice.ai. It's an interesting platform. If you look at it, it actually works like a legal AI assistant to any enterprise, a small, medium size or large size enterprise. And also it helps the legal and CS professionals and also common citizen. It does what a good lawyer will do. It helps you to answer queries on your legal questions or tax related questions, draft legal documents or NDAs or landlord agreements, or you have a landlord agreement, you want an opinion on it, you can upload it and you can summarize it. And one very interesting feature we have is AI background check, right? So where you give your first name, last name, and phone number, and you can build complete profile using AI on an individual. So if you want to build a platform, a complete platform like this, yes, you will definitely require some front end and back end coders as well. However, the main brain behind this platform is something very, very similar to what we will be seeing today. So my message to people who are slightly scared of coding is that first, it has become very easy, especially with a lot of these Gen AI chatbot kind of tools like ChatGPT, which are available. Anybody can start coding. However, even if you do not know coding, you can actually build products using Gen AI. something that we will see today. Okay. We in Ivy Post School's Gen AI course, we do emphasize on learning Python, but believe me, the amount of Python that you need for Gen AI course is not very difficult to learn, and especially in today's time with Chat GPT, it has become very easy. A lot of people tell me that building Gen AI tool is very expensive. I can tell you that building Gen AI tools has become actually very cheap. Something like this time to justice.ai platform that we created, it took us around 3 months to create something like this. It would have easily taken us 2 to 3 years to create a comprehensive platform like this. And even then, we could not have reached the kind of accuracy that now we have and the speed that we have with this platform just a few years ago. But with the help of Gen AI, it has become much faster and much easier and extremely affordable to create a Gen AI platform as well. If you'd be interested to know about the costing of Gen AI kind of a platform, like the full-fledged platform that I'm showing you on the screen, feel free to hit me a message on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you just Google my name, Pratik IV, you will get the first link as my link, and I'll be more than happy to answer any question related to the costing of a Gen AI product or anything related to Gen AI and data and AI career. I'll be more than happy to answer your queries on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Okay. So the idea is that building Gen AI tool has become extremely cheap now, guys. Not just easy, but cheaper as well. So the entry barrier has reduced, guys. Okay. Another myth that people have is that companies are not using Gen AI and it's a hype. No, I can tell you in the last 6 months, we have consulted companies like Tata Steel, ITC, General Mills, which actually makes Pillsbury Atta, one of the biggest atta manufacturer of the world. We have consulted several, Times of India, mother company. We have we have consulted so many companies who are using Gen AI, who are building Gen AI monetizable products. And one of the research reports that I read day before yesterday said that in India, medium to large enterprise, 94% of them are actually using some of the other tool related to Gen AI. So it's a strong focus area, guys. Okay, if you have an inclination towards the data and AI industry, this is the golden opportunity. I say that one must not leave this opportunity to become a Gen AI professional. A lot of people have this thought process that Gen AI is only prompt engineering. No, while prompt engineering is one of the key skills required in to become a great Gen AI professional, but it goes much beyond prompt engineering. You got to understand how LLM works. You got to understand how to integrate with LLM API service providers. You have to understand what is fine tuning, uh, what is RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. You've got to understand a few concepts. Even if you're not building an LLM product, you're not building an LLM, which is large language model, the main brain behind OpenAI or Google Gemini. However, you still have to understand a lot of things in order to make a monetizable app, monetizable Gen AI app, which is just not prompt engineering. Guys, prompt engineering is an important thing though. One question that Ajay has asked is the base of Gen AI would be Chat GPT or some other GPT model. The base of Chat GPT, base of Gen AI can be any model. There are so many, models are mushrooming, guys. Okay. There are so many companies, almost all the large tech companies have their own models. Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, has something called as Llama. Google has Gemini, everybody knows, among other models as well. Amazon has invested around $5-6 billion into a company called as Anthropic. Then there is another very famous model in the market, Cloud. And there are many. There is a portal called as Hugging Face, where you can see there are so many LLM models. Okay, every day almost you can hear about there is a new LLM model which is being created. Of course, OpenAI has GPT, which is by OpenAI and Microsoft. So there are quite a few of them, guys. Elon Musk Twitter owner has Grok. So there are quite a few LLM models which are out there. Some of them are famous, very purpose driven. Some of them are multi-model in nature. Multi-model meaning they can support text, images, videos, multiple types of data. Some of them are very specific to a particular type of data. So, I mean, models are getting created every day. Yeah. So creating models is going to become commodity, but as an end user of the model, yeah, applying your own brain, solving a business problem, building a Gen AI app is going to be a key thing, and that's where a lot of people, a lot of companies will also make money, and a lot of individuals will also make money. So that is going to be the key thing. So let's see what we will do today. All right. Let's go back to our financial planner. Now, what are the things that we are going to do here? There are 5 steps which will help us to create a tool like this in less than a few minutes. Yeah, let's look at some of these steps, guys. Zebran has asked some question. Text to image create also falls under LLMs. Of course, anything which is to do with, falls under Gen AI per se. Text to image model can be combination of large image model or and large language model as well. Okay. I will take a lot of questions about Gen AI and LLM towards the end, but first let me explain you how we create a tool which can help us do financial planning based on our income, expenses, and the goal. What are the steps that we will look at? So I've created a document here, and I'm going to share all this document, guys. Okay, if you subscribe to Ivy's YouTube channel, I'm going to upload all these documents as part of the description of the video that will be hosted on Ivy's YouTube channel. You see, as I said, there are 5 steps which are happening in this entire tool, right? First is we are extracting the text from PDFs using API by a third-party PDF extractor tool provided by PDF.co. It's a company, a small company, which provides you a service whereby you can send a PDF documents data in blob binary level object format, and it reads it and gives you in a structured text format based on what it finds in the PDF. So we'll use an API or application programming interface. Like an API is a service that will help us integrate our Google Sheet with this company. Okay, with this company through API. So we'll talk about that. Then, so essentially, we are going to extract text from the PDF documents. Remember, the PDF documents are 2. We are uploading 2 PDF documents. One is the salary slip, which gives us the income information. Second is the credit card statement, which gives us the expense information. So these 2 PDF documents we will upload, but we have to first extract the text. Then we will send it to large language model. Then we will process financial data, right? Financial data meaning the data which is extracted from the salary slip, which is the income data, and the expense data. We will process it, and we will bring them together into single formatted string containing salary details, credit card details, and financial code. So we will end up combining the text information from salary details, from expense details, and the goal, because all these 3 things, along with our prompt, is something that we will send to LLM to get a response from the large language model. Let's look at this. That is the second thing. So we are extracting the text, and here we are processing and combining the text, all the text from the 3 documents. And then we will analyze the extracted text with GPT. This is where we are going to use OpenAI's GPT model through OpenAI's API service. And we will tell OpenAI GPT model that, boss, this is the income information, this is the expense information, and this is my goal. Please take all this data and please give me what could be the financial plan, right? This is the main brain behind everything, guys, right? So the GPT-4o model will be used to analyze the financial data and return actionable insights, right? And I have also written a prompt to do that, right? This is the main brain, right? This is the main brain, yes. The third step. Then the fourth step is once GPT gives us the response, we have to format it nicely so that we can show it to the end user in a way that the end user can understand what is going on. For example, here, this data is formatted in a particular fashion so that it comes in points, it comes in bullets, and so that the user can easily understand what it is being, what the response is, right? And then finally, we will combine all these things together. So automate the entire process in Google Sheet so that all these individual pieces or sections or functions can work together, right? So what are the steps? The first step is to set up the PDF, to get an API service from pdf.co. Then we will get an API from OpenAI, and then we will automate the entire process in Google Sheet. But before I do that, let me take a step back here, guys, and let me show you the architecture of this architecture, or a kind of a step-by-step process of this particular tool in a visual fashion as well. See, most of the Gen AI tools which are being, or apps which are being created in current day is normally uses this architecture currently. So you've got, let's say you got a LLM, large language model. In our case, the large language model that we'll use will be OpenAI, the parent company behind ChatGPT. OpenAI's which model? GPT-4o, which happens to be one of the latest model of OpenAI, right? This is the model. This is the main brain, guys. Okay, main brain. Let me write it. The brain. Okay. This is the pre-trained large language model, right? Now here, in order to connect to this large language model, we need to be able to talk in the language that it understands, and we need some authorization. So this is where API come into the picture. The full form of API is application programming interface. It's like a window through which one software can talk to another software. So this LLM is a software by OpenAI GPT, right? I have to send a request to it, a question mark, a question to this LLM, right? A prompt to this LLM, and then it will send me a response, right? So through this, I will send a prompt, right? With my authentication, that means with my login details and whatnot, to the LLM. It will verify, this API service will verify that you are an authorized paid subscriber to LLM. And then it will apply its own brain and it will give you the response. Again, through this, the same window, through the same API. And this response is what we will capture. We will catch. Catch meaning save. And then we will display to the end user, right? So let's say this is the end user who's using our tool or our app, right? This end user is using, imagine in our case, Google Sheet. This is the interface, the user interface for this end user. You could have if you had some front-end developers working with you, or if you had a front-end development experience of creating a web portal, then you could have created a very nice UI, UX, something like this. Sorry, not this. Something like this. So we have a couple of UI, UX designers and developers, the front-end developers, who have created the front-end for us, right? But in our case, in today's class, in today's bootcamp, we are going to use Google Sheet as the user interface to allow the user to interact with our LLM, right? So here, this is our platform. This is our UI and platform, you may say, the graphical user interface for the end user to provide the information. And this Google Sheet is connected to this large language model, the OpenAI GPT-4, through this API, and then it will catch. But before that, there is one more small service that we are using. If anybody can guess that service that we are going to use, in Google Sheet, we are going to give PDFs. We are actually giving two PDF, 1 and 2. One is for income, second is for expense, the payslip and the credit card statement. These two PDFs will go to PDF.co, which is another software. And in order to connect to this PDF.co software, we need again API of this PDF.co software. Remember, whenever you think of integrating one software with another software provider, you have to have an API service between them. You have to have a method of making these two softwares by two different companies talk to each other. And that is where API calls come into the picture, which authenticate the users based on a secret key, and it charges the unit. So I'll give you a very simple example of API. Here again, we have API. APIs are like your consumer number or customer ID in your electric bill. API key, let me call it as API key, is your consumer number or customer ID in your electricity bill. Your electricity service provider, for example, Tata Power, Reliance Power, or whichever one, CSC, whichever one is your electricity service provider, the moment you open your account with them, they give you a customer ID or a consumer number. This is your personal private consumer number. On the basis, and this consumer number is linked to your meter, right? And meter captures the units, right? And based on the units uses, it generates the bill, isn't it? Now, in case of LLMs or in case of any API service provider, they normally have some kind of unit. In case of LLM, the units are called as the unit of uses. Any guess, guys? What is this called? Generally speaking, what are they called? They're called as token. If it is a large language model, a text model, then a token is roughly equivalent to a word, you may say. One token is roughly equivalent to one word, although one word is equivalent to one token is equivalent to 0.8 word most of the time, meaning for approximately 800 words, you will end up consuming approximately 1,000 tokens. But let's assume for the simplicity, one token is equivalent to one word. So depending upon the number of words or number of tokens we send as an input and to the large language model, and depending on the number of output tokens, that means output words that it generates as part of your response, right? You will be charged based on the number of tokens utilized, right? And all of that is being tracked using this secret API key through this API, right? So that is how these software as service providers charge their consumers, right? So similarly here, we have some credit system, some tokens, you may say, in PDF.co as well, which will where we will send these PDF documents through API to this PDF.co portal. What this will do is it will understand the content of the PDF and it will send you back the content of the PDF. And then we'll combine that content with our prompt, and then we will send it to the LLM through the LLM APIs, and then we will get the response back, catch the response, and then we display it to the end user. So this is the typical model that most of the Gen AI apps that we see in the market today are using. They have a backend LLM, large language model, working behind the scene, which they have subscribed to using the API key, and then they send their prompts, and then they get the response, and then they format the response and show it to the end user on a user interface. That is typically the model that most of the companies are using. Here, because we do not want to spend time and probably we don't have the capability to create a UI, UX, or a user interface using coding, so we have decided to use Google Sheet. Similarly, you could have used Excel as well to do the same, right? Now, any questions on this? I will take some questions for the next 2 to 3 minutes before I move forward. Any questions, anybody? Any questions, anyone? All right, great. All right, good. Okay, now let's see, how that function is working, right? Now, you see, because we have to do a few things, the first step is that we have to create our APIs in PDF.co. We also have create meaning API, meaning API key, the secret key, the consumer numbers as you can relate to. And then we will create the API key in OpenAI as well to be able to use the OpenAI service. Let's go to PDF.co first. And let's create. So I type PDF.co, and there are many such portals available which allow you to process the PDF data and gives you response back in terms of a text. So get started for free. They allow generous free credits as well for you to try the services. Now see, it says I've got so many credits available. This is my API key. I will copy this API key. So you can also create your own API key. Remember, copy this and save it somewhere in a note file. Remember, if you forget that, you will not be able to use it. So API key has been copied, and I will save it over here.
Hello?
Arif, you had a question?
Yeah, so this API key that you have generated here, so
Right.
it's where to pay first for this, right?
No, this is, I'm not paying anything. They
Okay, you're
allow you to
using
try.
okay.
The idea is that all these service providers, most of them will have some free tier, which is generous typically. And, do try them.
Fine.
Ajay's question is regarding privacy, data privacy. Ajay's question is, what if someone upload the salary information, salary slip, and other personal document? Where will it get stored? Here, the idea is that we are sending. In fact, you will see that we are not really storing that document anywhere. You're actually just giving the Google. I mean, we are storing the documents in your Google Drive. That is where we are saving. But Google, you are the owner of the Google Drive, so you're not necessarily giving access to anybody else. What we are doing is that we are extracting the text from the PDF document, and then we are sending the text to the LLM. We're not sending the complete document. We can. There is another method using OpenAI's assistant API. We can do that also. But in today's tool that we are creating, we are not doing that. We are only sharing the text extracted from the PDF document to the OpenAI's LLM model. But your concern is valid. I mean, even if you're not sending the PDF document, yet we are sending our salary information and personal information. So yes, and since we are using a public API, I mean, we are not using an enterprise API, so there is a possibility, not a possibility, but yeah, definitely it can be used to retrain the OpenAI's model. That issue is there if you're using such low-level API services, Ajay. But if you're an enterprise, if you're willing to pay for it, then there are easy ways to rectify this data privacy thing. I mean, you can actually you can get an enterprise API from these LLM providers where they at least claim that they do not save anything in their memory and do not take that any data that comes from enterprise API to retrain their models. Krishnendu's question is, if this PDF.co API key is the same API which will help you to generate financial guidance? No. This PDF.co API is a very simple API which just helps us to extract the PDF data in text string. It has no intelligence whatsoever, other than just extracting the data from a PDF file, text data from a PDF file, Krishnendu. For financial guidance, we'll use OpenAI's API because OpenAI is the company which has a lot of LLM models, right? GPT models, 4.0, 4.0 mini, so many such models are there, right? So we have to use one of the LLM providers API to, to get the financial guidance. Yeah. So I'm not pasting my API key for security reason here, but yeah, you understand that you can go over here and you can create the API and you can generate and save it in one text file because we'll be needing it later. Okay. Now, so this is one API key, right? Then we need another API key from OpenAI. So how do we create OpenAI API? So just type OpenAI API, and the first portal that you'll get will be the portal whereby you can actually create your own API key. Now, unfortunately, what OpenAI has done is that OpenAI has stopped giving free access, free trial access to their API key. They used to give $5, credit for trying their API key service, but for the last few months they have stopped doing it. And but I would still advise, guys, $5 is 400 rupees. Don't go for a KFC dinner one of the nights in a month, but spend $5, get their API key and try it. Just don't share it with anybody else, right? I mean, believe me, $5 API key can make you learn so much about this Gen AI app ecosystem that you'll be surprised. And you'll be, you can actually put these kind of projects on your resume or your LinkedIn and surprise the world, right? So I do strongly recommend. There are free API keys available for other models, but they're not very strong enough, right? I mean, so I do recommend OpenAI's API. Spend $5, get the API key, and I mean, try a few things, right? It's pretty interesting. Now, how do we do that? So when you come over here, yes, they do. They also have. Ajay's question is, don't Gemini and Cloud have API service? They do. They do. Absolutely, they do, Ajay. And they do give free trials as well, Ajay. Definitely, they do. However, I mean, OpenAI's main advantage is that you will get a lot of tutorials on how to use OpenAI's API keys very easily online. And plus, right now the capability wise is pretty capable. But definitely, I mean, I've used Google Gemini, I've used Cloud as well. They're not difficult, to be very frank. So in fact, if you want, you can take the same code and you can have ChatGPT modify the same code that I'm going to share with you and just try with Google Gemini's API service. Yeah, absolutely right, Ajay. Alrighty. Now, where do we create our API? Right now, here this is the document. Now, for API, you go to API reference on the top right hand side. What happened? Yeah, and then I'm in the wrong place. Oh, my bad. Give me a moment. Let me minimize these things. I can't see. So when you go to the dashboard here, you will find that there is API keys on the left-hand side. Go to API keys on the left-hand side here, and then on the top right-hand side, you will have this option which says create new secret API key. Now, this is where you can give it a name, some name, random name, let's say Bootcamp. Right? And you can save it in a particular project. You can create the secret API key. I'm going to actually go ahead and create it. And I can copy this. Once it is done, I will place it somewhere. Right? This is my OpenAI's API key. Remember, it shows it only once. So remember to paste it nicely, save it nicely, because it won't be able to, you'll have to then delete. If you forget it, then you'll have to delete it and recreate it. Okay. You can track the uses of your API key as well. If you go to settings and if you go to users here, you can see the cost that it has utilized and whatnot. But believe me, I mean, $5 is enough to try and to do a lot of interesting stuff, guys. Okay, so feel free to try your hand very easily. I mean, it's not a problem at all. I mean, I personally believe that it's a very small thing that small cost that we bear. See, I mean, I'm a heavy user. But look at my entire November bill. I'm a heavy user, $21. Okay, that's it. So I'm a pretty heavy user. So it's pretty okay to try and learn. So we got the two API keys, right, guys? And now we will go to, and what we have done is that, what I have done is I'm going to share the code with you. For these steps, I actually utilize ChatGPT to create the code for me in Google Sheet, right? Now, do I need to be a programmer to create those codes and use those codes? No. However, I should know where to paste the code and how to use ChatGPT to modify the code. Okay. Now, the first step is extracting text from PDFs using pdf.co. So the first step is where is the code, right? So the code, I'm going to share the code as well with you. This is the app script code. I'm going to copy this entire thing, Control A, Control C, and I am going to go to my Google Sheet, right? And I'm going to share this Google Sheet as well with you, but you can actually literally go to any other Google Sheet. Let's say, let me open sheets.new, a new sheet, right? And let me call it as whatever name you want to give. Sorry, guys, just a few things. Right? Now here, I go to, now where do I paste that code? Now see, Google Sheet, just like Excel has VBA code for custom functions, Google Sheet has something called as app script. When I go to extensions here, you can find app script. App script is where you can create capabilities using code, which is app script code, which is very similar to JavaScript. But again, as I said, you don't really necessarily need to know app script at all. You can actually utilize you can utilize ChatGPT. Now, assuming that you're using my code, I am going to paste my code here, and I will explain this code as well a little later, but my code is over here, right? It has multiple functions in it. There are 5 different functions. I will explain those 5 different functions as well at some point of time, today only. But for now, it's a very simple thing that I pasted the code here. You can give a name if you want. Let's name is as code underscore financial planner by I go school, and I rename it, not a necessary thing, right? It's renamed. I save it, right? Once I have saved it, right? Then I go back over here in this particular sheet. Now, the way the code is designed is that it requires you to give the information in, it requires you to give the salary, expense, goal, and response information in A1, B1, C1, and D1 column. Let me expand this. Okay, let me expand it. Let me expand this as well slightly, right? Slight bit here. So we got a salary, expense information, and goal and response. Now, where are the salary and the expense information? They are in 2 PDFs, right? Where are those PDFs? So I'm going to show you the PDFs here. And again, I've saved them in Google Drive, but let me open this PDF. It's a dummy payslip, okay? Of course, I didn't want to use somebody's live payslip, but it's very real life type of a payslip. So this is the payslip. This is the Google Drive link. Again, I'm assuming people know how to save a document in Google Sheet. If you do not, you can just Google it. And I've got the link here. I paste that link, right? And then similarly, I will share the expense sheet as well, which contains the credit card statement for the month of November for this guy, some random guy. And I'll go back to my sheet. Under B1, I will put the credit card statement. This is my Google Drive link for salary slip, and this is my Google Drive link for my expense sheet. Then my goal. Now, my goal earlier was that I want to buy a car in 2 years. Let's have a bigger goal, right? Help me plan, or I want to buy a house for 75 lakhs in 10 years. That is my goal. Imagine. Okay. Maybe.
So can we paste both links, Google Drive links, as well as text in these new column?
Arif, I will. Don't worry, I will. Right. And this is where I want to get the response in this particular sheet. Let me reduce the font here. Right. This is my goal. Right. And this is where I want to get the response. Here, I also want, if you notice here, if you notice in my sheet here, I've got analyze goal, isn't it? This is a button that I've created. How did I create this button? If you notice here, I can assign any script to this button. Okay. Let me do it without this button, and then we will do it with this button. And we'll also understand how to create this button for me. So for now, let's do it without the button, and then we'll talk about how do we create that button as well. So I've got A2, the salary slip, B2, the credit card statement, C2, the goal. And then in D2, I want my response, right? My code is defined in such a way that it will give you the response like this. I go back to my code here. And in my code, the main function, which is actually integrating all the other 4 functions, is this one. I'll show you. This is my main function, analyze financial goals in sheet, right? What this function is doing, I'll just quickly explain this to you. What this function is doing is, it is taking the links from A1, A2 and B2, which is the expense and the income, and it is extracting the URL, the salary URL and the credit card URL, and also it is extracting the financial goal and saving it in 3 different variables here. And then it is combining all the 3 things together. How is it doing so? It is using this function called as extract text from PDF using PDF code that I've written on the top. I've written on the top here. See, this is the function that I have written here, in this function, I'm passing the PDF URL, any Google Drive URL, and using the API provided by, this is the API provided by PDF.co. So whatever API that you get from PDF.co, you can come over here and replace this API with your own PDF.co URL, with your own PDF.co secret API key. And then that's it. That is the only replacement that you have to do. And what this is doing is that using this particular API key, it will end up getting us the response. And the response will be the text extracted from this PDF URL. That means the URL that I had passed to this function, it will extract the PDF content from this URL, and it will save it in this JSON response, which is a structured response. If you want, you can Google a little bit more about JSON format. Essentially, it will structure the data in a nice format. And this is what is returned back to this function. Now, going back to our main function. So here, the salary text extracted by that extract text from PDF using URL, using the PDF.co API, will be stored in this salary text variable. Credit card bill text variable data, the string data extracted from this, again, this particular, the same function with a different URL for credit card this time, is going to be saved in this particular variable. And then we are saying that if these 2 variables have some value, right, after concatenating, Then what we are doing is that we are combining all this data, combining the salary text, the text extracted from PDF4, the credit card bill, again, the text extracted from credit card bills, and the financial goal. You can see this is the financial goal. Financial goal. All the three things are getting combined with this small function, process financial data, which I have written on the top here. Process financial data is really nothing but just combining the three texts and returning one combined string, right? Salary details, credit card bill details, financial goals. And once you have that, sorry, here, this becomes your financial data. And this is where we are utilizing the OpenAI's GPT now. It says analysis, which is a variable, analyze financial data with GPT using this string information, which is the combined information of salary text, credit card bill text, and financial goal, which is stored in this variable, as you can see. Now, what is this function doing? This is where we will utilize our OpenAI's GPT API. Look at this function, analyze financial data with GPT. This is the data that will be passed to this. And this is where I will upload my API key. Which API key? My OpenAI's API key, which I got from OpenAI here, right? Which you can also get. API key over here, right? Replace with your own API key, and that's about it. And then it does its own magic. And remember, this is where the payload is being created. This is your system prompt. The system prompt is saying what I'm saying to the system is that you have to behave like a highly skilled financial advisor. This is where prompt engineering comes into the picture. In budget planning, debt management, saving strategy, investment bank planning, you can customize this as you want. Identify the areas user can reduce expense, recommend specific savings, suggest suitable investment option, highlight any changes in the lifestyle if the user's current financial state makes the goal unrealistic, then provide an alternative realistic time goal and strategy. This is the system prompt. This is how you're asking the system to behave. But the user data, the user content, which is the goal and the salary information, the credit card information, which is under the data, which is we are passing to this function, is going to go as a user prompt. This is the system prompt and this is the user prompt, right? Which is essentially use the salary information, the credit card information, and my goal, and use this as a context. Once it is done, then please return the response. This is the response that I will get in the JSON format again from the data. And then this is what this will end up returning back from this function. Okay. This max token is, that means the response will be restricted to 1,000 tokens, approximately 800 words, but which is enough for us. 0.3 temperature basically means the lower the temperature is, the temperature value can vary between 0 and 2. Because we are working with very factual information here, the lower the temperature is less than equals to 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, then it will behave, it will give you a more accurate but less creative answer. But here, we are working with factual responses. So that is the reason why I've kept the temperature of the model. This is the model setting. I've kept the temperature of the model as 0.3. If you want even lesser creative answer, meaning more accurate, more factual information, then you can also try and reduce it to 0.2, 0.1. But 0.3 is enough in this particular model. Remember, if you reduce it to 0.1 or so, it'll start giving you very short, very factual response. But I want a little bit of human feeling to it, and that is the reason why I've kept it. So this is where this function, I'm calling it in my main function with my financial data. And once I get the response, then I will format it with a very simple function that I've written, format analysis. This just formats it, optional, but it's a good thing. And then I write the formatted result to the sheet using this small code that I've used here. But basically in the response, in the fourth column, fourth column, remember D column is the fourth column, it will give you the response back from the data, from the LLM. Now, how do we run it? Remember, I want to run it for the first time. How do we run it? You just have to run the main function. You do not have to run individual other functions because the main function is calling all the other functions. So our main function is analyze financial goals in this. So this is my main function, which I can choose from here, analyze financial goals in sheet, and then click on run. and then wait for a few seconds. If the first time it is running, it is asked for the authorization, because remember, it is accessing your data. So Google wants to ensure that you are aware that this app Script is going to see your data and do a few things, right? So I allow it, and it says the execution has started, and it is taking, so it is first extracting the data from the PDF files through pdf.co API. And then once it is extracted, then it is combining all of it with the financial goal to make the main user prompt. Then it is sending that user prompt, the combined financial data, to OpenAI using the OpenAI's API, and then it gets the data, and then it formats the data, and then it displays, and it says execution completed. So let's go back to the sheet here, and then this is where our response is. So now the response says a few things, so that, okay, monthly income is this, identify areas reduce, online purchases, reduce it. It gives you very specific needs as well. So the target amount is 75 lakhs, time frame is this, assume annual return of 8%, very, very moderate. Normally, if any financial planner you go to in India, they will say, we assume at least 14 to 15%. And in the last 3 years, they were assuming 16, 17% as well. But if you ask me, 12% in a 5-year plus time horizon is a decent horizon if you go with a nice diversified portfolio. So using SIP, systematic investment plan, 35,000 to reach your goal, assuming an 8% annual return. And so after reducing expenses by this much, you can easily save this much, 35,000, and invest into what kind of funds. It actually gives you index ETF funds, very nice, equity and mix of equity and debt mutual funds, considered with a track record of consistent. If you modify the prompt and ask for specific Indian mutual funds also, it can actually give you that as well. And then it also gives you a very nice suggestion on PPF, public provident fund as well, and a few suggestion on lifestyle and financial habit changes as well, right? So yeah, and then it says if this is challenging, then try to consider extending your timeline to 12 to 15 years. So it's very nice prompt response that it is given to you. Yeah. Now, what about that button? That button is not there, but that button is a nice touch, not a main thing, because a lot of users will not be comfortable going to extensions, going to app script, and then selecting a particular function and then running it. That can be a daunting task. So what you can do is that you can actually create a shape. So let me insert a shape. Where is the shape gone? Shape, shape, shape. Oh, where's the shape gone? Sorry. More of an Excel user. Give me a moment. Don't see shapes. Where is the shape gone? Shape, 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 shape. Okay. Surprising, surprising, surprising. Go to table, tools. The shape here then. Let me draw it. Save and close. And let me paste it here. Okay, for the time being, guys, I'm just going to copy the word where the shape is. More of an Excel user. Let me copy this guy. Maybe anybody can help me to get the shape. Why don't I see the shape? Search shape, shape. Surprising. Can't find the shape. Drop down, emoji, smart, chips, but I did not see a shape. Yeah, but under the drawing, I was trying to do it, but shapes, this is a shape. Does create the shape here. Beyond that, but it also, color it also, everything. Huh. Huh. Last time, I don't know why it did not come last time. Anyway, now the shape is there. So yeah, drawing is what, yeah. Now, the idea is that this shape has no text in it. If you double click on it, it'll open the shape. You can put a text also inside it. You can analyze now whatever message that you want to give. Yeah. So this is my analyze now, right? Now, this doesn't, it's not linked to the script, right? So in order to link to the script, go to this three dots, assign a script. When you assign a script, right, just assign the name. You just need to know the name of this function. So I copy the name of the function and assign it. Press OK. And then, sorry, assign without the brackets. Without the brackets. Wait a second. Without the brackets. That's it. Now, let me change the response and let me, oh, the thing was there, we couldn't see earlier. So now, when I click on it, it starts to run the script so that a person doesn't even need to know how to run a app script, right? You just click on this button and then it will actually start running. And then it will take its own time, maybe a few seconds, to create the response based on the code, guys. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. I have taken 5 extra minutes for this button issue. I forgot the steps about creating this button. But again, as I said, that was optional step, right? What I strongly recommend, guys, two things, guys. Okay, if you go to, if you want to see the recording of this video today, then go to Ivy's YouTube channel, and then under the live section, you will find the link to today's YouTube channel. I mean, today's video, which I will upload. And I have not uploaded I have not uploaded the files that I was using, the PDF files, as well as the code, which I will upload by tomorrow. But do check it out by tomorrow and subscribe to Ivy's YouTube channel so that you can actually get to see such Gen AI past tutorials as well, and a lot of data and AI tutorials which are available. Okay, so do check out this video in Ivy Pro School's YouTube channel tomorrow. Do subscribe to it. Also, hit me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to explain the code. What I'll do is I'll upload the entire code. I'll upload the process that I've followed as well. I'll upload the API keys as well. But which the API keys, I can tell you, I will take away the access within 48 hours from today. But definitely try to build a small tool. If in no other user interface, then utilize Google Sheet to build your own tool. One of my friends built an astrologer tool, very nice. And one of my other student had built a Feng Shui and Vastu Sastra tool as well using this. So it could be a great thing to showcase on your resume as well and to practice, guys. Thanks a lot for attending today's workshop, guys. I'll be here for the next 2-3 more minutes, but feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn as well. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, just type Pratik Ivy and you will find me on LinkedIn. And guys, you will receive the course on the description of this video on Ivy's YouTube channel. I'll upload it by tomorrow. The code as well as the PDF files that I used today. And guys, as I said, if you are interested in the world of Gen AI, IB Pro School has great Gen AI courses you may want to explore. You may want to take some demo classes and understand what's happening in the world of Gen AI as well. With just 1 hour, if you can build a Gen AI tool, imagine what all you can actually do with a detailed understanding and a certification course on Gen AI. Is the hype? It's not just the hype though. It is the real thing, guys. Okay, Gen AI is very promising, great thing, a great career option for almost everybody to explore. Thank you, guys. My name is Pratik Agarwal. It was nice interacting with you all. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.